The conference room in Geneva fell silent as the holographic display flickered to life. Hyun stood at the head of the table, watching the alien ambassador materialize before them. Velthar was tall, almost 3 meters, with skin that shimmered like oil on water. The creature's 4 eyes swept across the assembled human delegates with what might have been pity. "Come with warning," Velthar said, the translation device rendering his words in perfect English. "Your world faces destruction. The Drathan Collective has marked Earth for conquest." The hologram changed, showing a vast fleet of warships stretching across the darkness of space. He encountered the vessels silently. Thousands of them, each larger than any structure humanity had ever built. The ships moved in perfect formation, their hulls bristling with weapons that defied easy description. "They will arrive in 30 days, Velthor continued. "The Drathans have destroyed 47 civilizations in the past century. They take everything. Resources, technology, lives. Nothing remains of the worlds they conquer except dust and silence." General Taeyang leaned forward, his weathered face impassive. He had spent 40 years in military service, and his instincts told him something the alien wasn't saying. "Why are you warning us? What does your council want in return?" Velthor's eyes flickered with something that might have been respect. "We offer evacuation. Our ships can carry 10 million humans to safety. You must choose who will survive. The rest will perish when the Drathans arrive." "Eight," Haeyun repeated softly. "Out of 8 billion, it is all we can save," Velthor said. "Your world has no defenses against this threat. Your weapons are primitive. Your ships cannot leave your solar system. The Drathans will crack your planet like an egg and harvest what remains. We have seen it happen too many times." You, sitting at the far end of the table, studied the holographic data streaming across her tablet. She was 28 years old and had already earned 2 doctorates in strategic analysis and theoretical physics. Her fingers moved rapidly across the screen, pulling up files that were classified above top secret. "These Drathans," Jiwoo said quietly. "They use conventional, faster-than-light drives, plasma-based weapons, kinetic shielding, standard mass drivers for orbital bombardment." Velthor turned to face her. "Yes, their technology is advanced beyond your understanding." "Maybe," Jiwoo said, "but it's not beyond our ability to counter." The alien ambassador made a sound like wind through hollow tubes. It took Haeyun a moment to realize Velthor was laughing. "You are brave, young one. But bravery will not save you from what is coming. The Drathans have conquered species far more advanced than yours. They have weapons that can boil your oceans, ships that can survive your nuclear arsenal. You have nothing that can stop them." General Taeyang stood up slowly. He walked to the window overlooking the city below. Geneva looked peaceful in the afternoon sun. People walked through the streets unaware that their world had just been given a death sentence. Or so the aliens believed. Around the world, things began to wake up. What astronomers had cataloged as weather satellites suddenly unfolded new arrays. What navies had listed as deep-sea research stations began rotating toward the sky. What air forces had called experimental radar, installations started charging weapons that could punch holes in starship. Armor 20-5 days remained until the Drathans arrived. Captain Daehyun floated in 0 gravity aboard the orbital platform designated Sierra 7. From the outside, it looked like a standard communications satellite, one of hundreds in Earth's orbital network. From the inside, it was a fortress bristling with weapons that no human military had publicly acknowledged existed. "Running final systems check," his co-pilot said, reading from a display. "Electromagnetic pulse cannons at 98% charge. Kinetic impactors loaded and ready. Directed energy weapons fully operational." Daehyun had trained for this moment his entire career. He had flown fighters, commanded submarines, studied every theoretical combat scenario the military could devise. But this was different. This was real. In 3 weeks, alien warships would fill the space around Earth, and his orbital platform would be part of the first line of defense. "How many platforms do we have total?" he asked. "Officially, none. Unofficially, 247. All armed, all crewed by volunteers who know they might not survive the first engagement." Dayhine looked out the viewport at Earth below. The blue marble hung in the darkness, peaceful and beautiful. Worth dying for, he thought. Worth killing for too? Down in Nevada, Minyoung oversaw the final assembly of the autonomous defense drones. The factory stretched 4 kilometers underground, hidden beneath what appeared to be an ordinary military testing range. Robots worked alongside humans, churning out sleek black machines that would swarm through space like angry hornets. "How many can we produce before they arrive?" asked the factory supervisor, a tired-looking woman named Hannah. "Current rate about 2 million units," Minyoung replied, checking her calculations. Each one equipped with basic AI, maneuvering thrusters, and a shaped charge warhead. They are not sophisticated, but they do not need to be. Volume is the strategy here, Anna frowned. 2 million sounds like a lot until you remember we are facing thousands of alien warships. The Drathans think in terms of ship-to-ship combat, Minyoung explained, pulling up tactical simulations on her screen. Their point defense systems are designed to handle missiles and torpedoes, large, predictable targets. But our drones will come at them in clouds. Millions of small, fast-moving objects with unpredictable flight patterns. Their computers will struggle to track them all. "Death by 1,000 cuts," Hannah said, nodding slowly. "Exactly. While their shields are busy stopping our drones, our real weapons will punch through." Across the Pacific, Admiral Sujin stood on the bridge of the submarine designated Shadow 1. Her vessel sat at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, along with 19 others just like it. Each submarine carried missiles that officially did not exist, capable of breaking atmosphere and engaging targets in low orbit. "Begin conversion procedures," she ordered. "I want all tubes ready to fire within the week." Her executive officer raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, we have never live-tested these systems." "Then we will learn fast," Sujin replied. "The Drathans will not wait for us to finish our practice drills. Every missile we launch needs to count." She had studied the data Jiwoo had compiled on Drathone tactics. They preferred orbital bombardment, staying high above their targets while raining destruction from the safety of space. But Earth's submarines could turn the oceans into launch platforms, striking upward from positions the aliens would never expect. Underwater was not a direction spacefaring species typically worried about in Geneva. Jan coordinated the political nightmare of getting every nation on Earth to cooperate. Ancient rivalries were set aside. Classified programs were shared openly. Resources flowed across borders without the usual bureaucratic delays. The threat of extinction had a way of making petty concerns seem small. "Russia is contributing their orbital kinetic bombardment platforms," he reported during the daily briefing. "China has provided access to their lunar mining operations, which apparently includes several military installations we knew nothing about. The United States has opened their advanced weapons research to international teams." General Taeyong listened to the reports with satisfaction. "Good, what about public information?" "We are preparing a broadcast," Hyun said. "The people deserve to know what is coming, and they deserve the chance to prepare. Will there be panic? Probably some. But I think most will respond the way our military has. With determination. Humans do not like being told they are going to lose." The broadcast went out the next day. Every screen on Earth showed the same message. Hyun stood before the cameras and explained in simple terms that aliens were coming to destroy their world. That Earth's governments had chosen to fight rather than flee. That everyone needed to be ready for what came next. The response was not panic. It was anger. J-Hoon, a journalist in Seoul, watched the broadcast from his tiny apartment. He had spent years covering political scandals and corporate corruption. Small stories about small problems. Now he was looking at the biggest story in human history, and his first instinct was not fear. It was outraged. How dare they, he thought. How dare these aliens think they can just take our world? He started writing immediately. His article spread across the internet within hours. "We did not claw our way to the top of Earth's food chain to become someone else's prey." The headline resonated. People shared it millions of times. It became a rallying cry. Back in the coordination center, Biora monitored global readiness. Every defense installation reported green status. Every weapon system showed fully operational. Factories ran 24 hours a day. Volunteers lined up by the thousands to crew the orbital platforms and drone command centers. "We're as ready as we can be," she told Taeyong during their evening briefing. "But I have to ask, do you really think we can win this?" The general was quiet for a moment. "The Galactic Council gave up without fighting. 47 civilizations before us surrendered or were destroyed. But none of them were human. None of them spent their entire history fighting for survival. We are not pacifists who discovered war too late. We are warriors who have in sharpening our skills since we lived in caves." "That does not answer my question, and let me put it this way. The Drathans have never faced a species like us. They have never fought an enemy that builds weapons of mass destruction as a hobby. That plans for worst-case scenarios as a matter of routine. That would rather die standing than live kneeling. Will we win? I do not know. But we will make them pay for every meter of ground they take. That will have to be enough." 20 days remained. Then 15. Then 10. The preparations continued without pause. Dae-Hyen and his crew ran combat simulations until they could execute them in their sleep. Minyoung's factories produced drones faster than anyone thought possible. Sujin's submarines moved into position across Earth's oceans, ready to turn the seas into launch platforms. Ji-Woo coordinated it all, her analytical mind tracking 1,000 moving pieces. She created battle plans and backup plans and backup plans for the backup plans. Every scenario was modeled. Every contingency was prepared for. And through it all, she could not shake the feeling that they were missing something important. 5 days before the Drathans arrived, she finally figured out what it was. Their command structure. She said, bursting into Taeyong's office. "Look at the formation data Velthar showed us. The Drathans organize their fleets around central command ships. Everything flows through them. Communications, targeting data, tactical coordination. If we can take out those command ships, the rest of their fleet will lose cohesion."
Ow.
The general studied her analysis. "You are suggesting a decapitation strike.
Yes.
But it has to be perfectly timed. Hit them all at once, before they realize what is happening. That would require getting strike craft through their formation, past their shields and point defenses. Essentially a suicide mission," No Ji-Woo said quietly. "But if it works, we could turn their numerical advantage into a disadvantage. Thousands of ships with no coordination are easier to defeat than a unified fleet. I will discuss it with the command staff. We may need to implement this plan, but not yet. First, let us see how they approach. Let us see if they underestimate us the way the council did." The last few days passed in a blur of final preparations. Hyun gave one last address to the world. Dae-Han said goodbye to his family via video call. Biora walked through her facility one final time, checking every system personally. Sujin gathered her submarine commanders for a final briefing, and Minyoung watched her drones roll off the assembly line by the thousands. Each one a small piece of Earth's defiance given physical form. On the final day, Jaehoon stood on a rooftop in Seoul and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, beyond human sight, the Drathan Armada was approaching. Thousands of warships crewed by beings who thought Earth would be an easy conquest. They were about to learn. Otherwise, the Drathan Armada emerged from faster than light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system, exactly on schedule. Fleet Commander Krathus stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the third planet from the star grow larger on the display screens. This would be his 48th conquest. Another primitive world added to the collective's growing empire. "Scan the target world," he ordered. "Identify population centers and resource deposits." His tactical officer worked the controls with practiced efficiency. "Initial scans complete, Commander. Population, approximately 8 billion. Technology level matches Galactic Council assessment. Pre-contact civilization. No defensive satellites detected. No shield generators. No orbital weapons platforms." Krathus felt satisfaction ripple through his body. The Council had warned these humans, offered them evacuation, and the foolish creatures had refused. Their arrogance would make the conquest easier. Species that believed they could resist always broke faster once they realized the futility of their position. "Broadcast standard ultimatum," Krathis commanded. The message went out across all frequencies. "Surrender all resources. Submit to collective rule, or face annihilation." Simple, direct, effective, in his experience. Most species chose surrender after seeing the size of his fleet. Those that chose resistance learned their mistake quickly. On Earth, UN listened to the ultimatum from the command center in Geneva. Around him, screens showed the Drathan fleet positioning itself for attack. 500 warships in the first wave. Standard intimidation formation. The aliens expected this to be over quickly. Response. Asked General Tae-Yang, Yang Da-hyun, activated the transmission. He spoke one word, clearly and without hesitation. "No, in orbit." Captain Dae-hyun heard that single word and smiled. His crew was ready. 247 orbital platforms, each one disguised as harmless civilian satellites, began powering up their weapon systems. Around the world, defense networks came fully online. This was it. The moment humanity would prove it belonged among the stars. "All stations report ready," his co-pilot said. "Waiting for your command, Captain. Hold position," Dae-hyun replied. "Let them come closer. I want them inside our optimum firing range before they know what hit them." Commander Krathis watched the human response with amusement. One word. Such defiance from a species with no hope of survival. He had seen it before. Pride came before destruction. First wave advanced to firing positions. Prepare for orbital bombardment. Target their major cities. Once they see their population centers burning, they will reconsider their answer. 500 Drathon warships accelerated toward Earth. Their shields glowed with power. Their weapons charged. They moved in perfect formation, confident in their superiority. Below them, the blue planet waited, seemingly defenseless. Enemy vessels entering optimal range, Dae-hyun's tactical officer reported. Distance 200,000 kilometers and closing. "All platforms target lock," Dae-hyun ordered. His fingers hovered over the firing controls. Around Earth, hundreds of other commanders did the same. Waiting for the signal. Waiting for the moment to show these invaders what humanity had prepared. 150,000 kilometers. 100,000, 50,000. Fire. Space erupted with violence. The harmless satellites revealed their true nature. Electromagnetic pulse cannons discharged, invisible waves of energy washing over the Drathun formation. Ship systems flickered and died. Shields collapsed. Navigation computers went dark. Before the aliens could react, the kinetic impactors fired. Solid tungsten rods accelerated to relativistic speeds, crossing the distance to their targets in heartbeats. They struck Drathan holes with the force of small nuclear weapons. Armor that had withstood plasma fire and missile strikes crumpled like paper. Ships broke apart, atmosphere venting into space. Directed energy weapons added to the carnage. Lasers designed to deflect asteroids cut through alien warships like knives through cloth. The beams carved precise paths through engine sections and weapon systems, crippling vessels before they could return fire. Commander Krathis stared at his displays in disbelief. 50 ships destroyed in the first salvo, 97 more crippled and drifting. The humans had weapons. Real weapons. Advanced weapons. This was impossible. The Council had said they were primitive. All ships, evasive maneuvers. Return fire. Destroy those satellites. But the Drathan fleet was in chaos. Their formation had scattered. Their electronic warfare systems struggled to recover from the electromagnetic pulse. And the satellites were not satellites at all, but hardened military installations. Designed to survive exactly this kind of assault, Dae-hyun watched the results of the first strike with grim satisfaction. Reload kinetic systems. Charge lasers for second volley. Do not give them time to regroup. The orbital platforms fired again, and again. Each salvo found its mark. The Drathans tried to return fire, but their plasma weapons dispersed uselessly against the platform's shields. Their missiles were intercepted by point defense systems. Their attempts at electronic countermeasures were blocked by quantum-encrypted targeting computers. In 90 minutes, the first wave was decimated. 147 Draython warships destroyed. Another 200 crippled beyond combat effectiveness. The remaining vessels retreated to the edge of the engagement zone, regrouping and trying to understand what had just happened. Damage report, Dayhine requested. Platform Sierra 7 operational. 0 casualties. Ammunition at 70%. All systems green. Similar reports came in from around the globe. Earth had fought off the first wave without losing a single defensive position. The Draythons had bled, while humanity remained untouched. Commander Krathus composed an emergency report to the collective high command. This was not a primitive species. This was a military power disguised as a backward civilization. He requested reinforcements, updated tactical data, permission to escalate to maximum force, but he could not wait for a response. Pride demanded immediate retaliation. The collective did not suffer defeats. He would commit the second wave. 2,000 ships. Overwhelming firepower. These humans would learn that their trick only worked once. Second wave. Advance. Full shields. Electronic countermeasures active. Destroy all orbital installations. Show these primitives what real power looks like. On Earth, Admiral Sujin watched the Drathan fleet reorganize from her command station aboard. Shadow 1. The submarine sat at the bottom of the Mariana Trench, invisible to alien sensors. Around the world's oceans, 19 other submarines prepared for their moment. They are committing their second wave, her tactical officer reported. 2,000 vessels. They have adapted to our electromagnetic pulse weapons. Their shields are holding, Good Sujin said calmly. Let them think they have found the solution. Launch drones. Show them what they are really facing. From hidden bases on the moon, Minyoung's autonomous drones erupted into space. 2 million small, fast-moving machines with one purpose: overwhelm and destroy. They did not fly in neat formations. They did not follow predictable patterns. Each drone had basic artificial intelligence that allowed it to make independent decisions. Together, they formed a swarm that filled space like a plague of mechanical locusts. The Drathan point defense systems opened fire. Thousands of drones died in the first seconds, but millions more kept coming. The aliens' targeting computers struggled to track so many small, erratic objects. For every drone destroyed, 10 more slipped through. They struck Drathan shields like hail against windows. Individually, each shape-charged warhead was insignificant. But concentrated impacts from hundreds of drones in the same location began to show results. Shields flickered, failed, exposed hull sections. These became targets for the next wave of drones. Commander Krathus watched in horror as his second wave began to fall apart. Drones swarmed around his ships like insects. Point defense could not stop them all. Shields could not deflect such volume. Individual warships began to drift, their systems compromised by hundreds of small explosions, and then the real attack began. Admiral Sujin gave the order. All submarines, fire. 20 submarines launched simultaneously. Missiles broke the surface of Earth's oceans and accelerated towards space. They were not traditional rockets. They were hybrid systems that combined chemical propulsion with electromagnetic acceleration. They moved faster than anything the Drathans had encountered. The missiles streaked upward, passing through the drone swarm without interference. Each one carried a warhead powerful enough to crack a capital ship in half. And they were targeting the larger Drathan vessels that the drones had weakened. The first missile struck a Drathan carrier. The explosion could be seen from Earth's surface, a brief star blooming in the night sky. 17 more carriers died in the next minute. The alien fleet's ability to launch fighters and support craft vanished in fire and debris. Reload tubes, Sujin ordered. Target their cruisers next. I want their heavy weapons platforms eliminated. Dayhine coordinated with the submarine strikes, timing his orbital platform attacks to hit vessels that were distracted by drones or reeling from missile impacts. It was not elegant combat. It was not honorable. It was efficient, brutal, effective. The Drathan's second wave lasted for hours before Commander Krathus ordered a full retreat. He had lost over 60% of his attacking force. His flagship was damaged. His crew was demoralized. And the humans showed no signs of running out of weapons. As his surviving ships pulled back to regroup, Krathus transmitted one final message before his communication systems went dark. Not to Earth, to the Galactic Council. Mark them as apex predators. Mark them as death. Anyone who faces humanity in combat should know what they are truly fighting. These are not builders, not explorers. They are killers refined by eons of warfare, and they have been waiting for us. On Earth, Jehoon broadcast the first reports of the battle. His voice shook with excitement and relief as he described the engagement. 2 waves of alien warships destroyed or driven back. Earth stands. Humanity fights. We are not prey. We are predators. In the command center, General Taeyong allowed himself a small smile. Status report. 4,000 casualties from drone command failures, Biora reported. 12 orbital platforms damaged but repairable. Ammunition reserves at 40%. The fleet is regrouping at the edge of the system. They will come again, Jiwoo said quietly. And next time, they will know what to expect. Then we will adapt, Taeyong replied. Just as we always have. The Galactic Council chamber was designed for civilized debate, not panic. But panic filled it now. Ambassador Velthor stood before the assembled representatives, displaying combat footage from the Earth's conflict. The silence was absolute. Impossible, whispered Counselor Dalron of the Kirati Military Command. No pre-contact species should possess such weapons. No primitive civilization should fight like this. They are not primitive, Velthor said quietly. That was our mistake. We measured their advancement by peace and social harmony. We did not measure their capacity for violence, for innovation born from constant conflict, for preparation against threats that might never come. High Counselor Mershon leaned forward in her seat. How many ships has Commander Krathus lost? Over 2,000. More than a quarter of his invasion force, and the humans have not yet deployed their full arsenal. Intelligence suggests they have weapons systems still hidden. Still waiting? The chamber erupted in discussion. This changed everything. The Drathan Collective had been unstoppable for a century. 47 worlds conquered. Dozens more intimidated into submission. And now, a single pre-contact civilization was bleeding them dry. We should intervene, Dalron said firmly. This presents an opportunity. If humanity can weaken the Drathans significantly, the Council could finally break the Collective's expansion. Or we could wait, another counselor suggested. Let them destroy each other. Earth is still just one world. Even if they defeat the Drathans, they will be weakened. Easier to contain. Mershon raised her hand for silence. We will monitor the situation, but we will not intervene yet. Let us see what these humans are truly capable of. The galaxy needs to understand what we are dealing with. On Earth, General Taeyong studied the intelligence Jiwoo had compiled. 3 days had passed since the second battle. The Drathan fleet remained at the edge of the solar system. Licking its wounds and planning its next assault, their command structure is hierarchical, Jiwoo explained. Highlighting sections of the tactical display, 7 command ships control the entire fleet. They coordinate all operations, distribute targeting data, manage communications. Without them, the remaining vessels lose cohesion. They revert to individual unit tactics. Decapitation strike, Taeyang said, nodding slowly. Remove the head, and the body stops functioning. Exactly. But it has to be simultaneous. All 7 command ships destroyed within minutes of each other. If we give them time to adapt or redistribute command functions, the strategy fails. Dr. Bawara joined them, looking tired but determined. I've been reviewing the combat data. Our kinetic weapons and drones worked well in the first engagements, but the Drathans will adapt. They always do. If we want to end this decisively, we need to use our most powerful weapons. She pulled up classified files on the antimatter missiles. Earth had developed them as a last resort against extinction-level asteroids. Each warhead contained enough antimatter to vaporize a small moon. The explosions were clean, efficient, and absolutely devastating. 50 missiles, Biora continued. That is all we have. They were meant for planetary defense against asteroid impacts, but they will work just as well against alien capital ships. Can we get them through the Drathan defenses? Asked Captain Dehayan, who had joined the briefing via video link from his orbital platform. Not with conventional delivery systems, Gi Wu admitted. The command ships stay at the center of their formation, protected by layers of escort vessels, point defense systems, energy shields. A normal missile would be detected and destroyed long before reaching the target. Then we need something they will not detect, Dehayan said thoughtfully. Something small, fast, stealthy. Minyoung appeared on another screen, calling in from her factory in Nevada. We have been developing stealth corvettes for deep space reconnaissance, experimental vessels, advanced materials that absorb sensor signals rather than reflecting them. They are small enough to navigate through debris fields, fast enough to outrun most pursuit craft. How many do we have operational? Taeyang asked. Just enough to deliver the antimatter missiles, assuming we do not lose any to interception. The general was quiet for a long moment. Everyone in the room understood what this meant. 52 pilots flying into the heart of an alien armada, navigating through thousands of hostile vessels, delivering weapons that would explode with the force of small stars. The survival rate would be close to 0. I need volunteers, Dehayan said immediately. Experienced pilots who understand this is a one-way mission. You will have them, Taeyang promised. Humanity has never lacked for people willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. Begin preparations immediately. We launch the strike as soon as the Drathans commit to their next assault. Admiral Sujin listened to the plan from Shadow 1 and felt a mixture of pride and sorrow. She had served with many of the pilots who would volunteer for this mission. Good people. Brave people. They deserved better than to die in the cold darkness of space. But they also deserved the chance to save their world. My submarines will provide diversionary fire, she said. Draw their attention. Force them to commit their point defenses to multiple threats. Give the stealth corvettes a clearer path, agreed Taejong said. Coordinate with Daehin on timing. Everything has to happen in simultaneously. If we are off by even a few seconds, we lose the element of surprise. Over the next 2 days, preparations accelerated. 52 pilots were selected from thousands of volunteers. Each one understood the odds. Each one accepted them willingly. They were loaded into stealth corvettes that looked more like experimental aircraft than spacecraft. Each vessel carried a single antimatter, missile, and barely enough fuel for a one-way trip. Captain Dehayan met with his strike team via secure video conference. He saw young faces and old faces, male and female, soldiers and civilians who had trained for military roles, all of them calm, all of them ready. We are going to hurt them, he said simply. We are going to strike at their heart and show them what happens when you threaten Earth. Some of us may survive. Most of us will not. But what we accomplish today will echo across the galaxy. Humanity will be remembered. Our world will survive. That is enough. Jaehoon broadcast the news carefully. The public deserved to know what was being risked, but operational security demanded he omit certain details. He spoke of a major offensive, a decisive strike, the beginning of the end. His words were chosen to inspire hope without revealing tactical plans. On the 5th day, the Drathan fleet began to move. Commander Krathus had received reinforcements from the Collective. His armada now numbered over 4,000 warships. He had learned from his mistakes. His vessels approached in scattered formations, making them harder to target with mass weapons. Point defenses were enhanced. Shields were layered. Electronic countermeasures ran continuously. This time we will not be surprised, he told his bridge crew. This time we will crush them properly. In the Geneva Command Center, General Taeyang watched the alien fleet advance. They are committing fully. All ships moving into Earth's orbital space. This is our chance. Launch the strike, he ordered. 52 stealth corvettes detached from hidden lunar bases and began their approach. They moved slowly at first, using Earth's moon as cover. Their advanced materials absorbed radar and sensor signals, making them nearly invisible. They looked like small pieces of debris, harmless fragments drifting in space. Admiral Sujin gave her orders simultaneously. All submarines fire at will. Target the outer escort vessels. Make them think we are attempting another drone swarm attack. Missiles erupted from Earth's oceans. Not the hybrid systems from the previous battle, but conventional anti-ship weapons. Hundreds of them, streaking toward the Drathan fleet in obvious trajectories. Easy to track. Easy to intercept. The Drathans took the bait. Point defense systems engaged the missiles. Fighters launched to intercept. Energy weapons fired in complex patterns. The aliens' attention focused on the visible threat, while the invisible one slipped closer. Daehaean piloted his corvette through the debris field left from earlier battles. Destroyed Drathan ships provided excellent cover. He kept his speed low, his emissions minimal. Around him, 51 other pilots did the same. They moved like ghosts through the alien formation, approaching primary targets, Daehaean reported. Weapons armed. Waiting for final go? The other pilots checked in one by one. All 52 corvettes had reached their designated command ships without being detected. The antimatter missiles were ready. Everything depended on the next few seconds. All units, fire on my mark, Daehaean said. He checked his targeting one last time. The Drathan flagship filled his display. Commander Krathis sat aboard that vessel, confident in his fleet's superiority. 3, 2, 1. Mark. 52 antimatter missiles launched simultaneously. They crossed the final distance to their targets in heartbeats. The Drathans had no time to react. No time to raise shields or deploy countermeasures. The missiles struck home. The explosions lit up space like new suns. Each antimatter detonation released energy equivalent to a strategic nuclear weapon. The Drathan command ships simply ceased to exist, vaporized in microseconds. The blast waves spread outward, destroying nearby escort vessels and scattering the rest of the formation. Commander Krathis had just enough time to realize what was happening before his flagship disintegrated around him. His last thought was simple. They tricked us. On Earth, billions of people watched the sky light up. 7 brilliant flashes marked the deaths of 7 command ships. The Drathan armada broke apart like a shattered mirror. Ships scattered in all directions. Some tried to retreat. Others fired wildly at phantom enemies. None coordinated. None worked together. All forces advance, General Taeyang ordered. Hit them while they are disorganized. This is our chance to end this. Orbital platforms opened fire. Submarines launched their remaining missiles. Minyoung's drone factories released their final swarms. Everything humanity had prepared. Everything they had built and hidden and saved for this moment, unleashed at once. The battle became a massacre. Drathan ships died by the hundreds. Some attempted to surrender. Others tried to flee. Most simply drifted, their crews too shocked and confused to respond effectively in 6 hours. The Drathan armada was broken. 86% casualties. The surviving vessels scattered to the edge of the solar system and jumped to faster than light speed, fleeing Earth as fast as their damaged engines could manage. Of the 52 stealth corvette pilots, 14 survived. They limped back to Earth on emergency power, their vessels battered but intact. Captain Daehaean was among them. When his corvette finally docked at the lunar base, he climbed out and saluted the crews waiting there. Mission accomplished, he said simply. Then he collapsed, exhaustion finally claiming him. 3 days after the battle, the last Drathan vessel disappeared from Earth's sensor range. General Taeyang stood in the command center in Geneva, looking at the casualty reports. 4,000 soldiers lost in the fighting. 12 orbital platforms damaged beyond repair. Significant infrastructure damage across Earth's defensive networks. But they had won. Against impossible odds, humanity had survived. Final count, Dr. Bora said, reading from her display. Drathan loss is estimated at 86% of their invasion force. 3,400 vessels destroyed or captured. Commander Krathis confirmed dead. The remaining ships fled to collective space and have not returned. Hune sat at the diplomatic station monitoring communications. For 3 days, there had been silence from the Galactic Council. No congratulations. No acknowledgement. Just silence. Until now, we have an incoming transmission, he announced. High priority. Galactic Council identification codes. They are requesting a formal audience. Put it through, Taeyang ordered. The holographic display activated, showing High Counselor Mercying herself. The alien leader looked different than Ambassador Velthor had. Older, perhaps, more worn. Her eyes held something that might have been respect. General Taeyang. Diplomat Han. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I offer formal apologies for our miscalculation. We underestimated your species significantly, accepted Taeyang said simply. What can we do for the Council? It is what we can do for each other, Mercian replied. The Drathan Collective has been a threat to civilized space for over a century. In 3 days, you accomplished what the Council could not manage in 100 years. You broke their power. Their fleet is scattered. Their leadership is in chaos. This is an opportunity for lasting peace. Heian leaned forward. What are you proposing? Full Council membership. Immediate and unconditional. Access to galactic trade networks. Advanced technologies. Mutual defense treaties. And more importantly, recognition that humanity belongs among the spacefaring civilizations as equals, not primitives requiring guidance. Jiwoo, standing beside the general, spoke up. Why did you underestimate us so badly? You had data on our technology? You knew we had achieved nuclear fission, chemical propulsion, basic computing. What made you think we were defenseless? Mersan was quiet for a moment. Most species develop faster than light travel only after achieving complete planetary unity. They evolve beyond warfare before reaching the stars. By the time civilizations contact the Council, they have typically been at peace for centuries, sometimes millennia. She paused, choosing her words carefully. Humanity is different. You developed weapons of mass destruction while still divided into competing nations. You built defensive systems against threats that did not yet exist. You prepared for war constantly, even during times of peace. This made you appear primitive to us because we measured advancement by social harmony rather than military capability. So our divisions made us stronger, Biora said, understanding dawning. Our paranoia. Our constant preparation for worst-case scenarios. What you saw as weaknesses were actually our greatest advantages. Yes, Mercian admitted. A unified, peaceful humanity might have achieved space travel sooner. But they would not have the weapons, tactics, or determination that your divided, competitive civilization developed. You were forged in conflict, sharpened by constant threats. When the real danger arrived, you were ready in ways no peaceful species could be. Captain Dehan, recovered from his exhaustion and listening via video link, spoke up. That is a polite way of saying we are better at killing than other species. It is an acknowledgement, Mercian replied, that survival requires different skills than exploration. The Council forgot this truth. We have been protected by diplomacy for so long that we forgot what happens when diplomacy fails. You reminded us. General Taeyang considered the offer. Full Council membership. It was everything Earth had worked toward. But something in Mercian's tone suggested there was more to this proposal than simple recognition. What do you really want from us? He asked directly. The High Counselor smiled, a gesture that translated across species. Honesty. Good. What we want is for humanity to share its military expertise with Council defense forces. To train our peacekeepers in tactics and strategies that your divided world developed. To help us build defensive capabilities that can prevent future Drathan-style threats without requiring us to become warlike ourselves. You want us to be your protectors, Heian said. Partners in protection, Mercian corrected. The Council maintains peace through diplomacy. But diplomacy only works when backed by the possibility of force. For too long, we relied on the idea that no one would dare attack us. The Drathans proved that assumption wrong. We need strength to back our words. And you have proven you possess that strength. Admiral Sujin joined the conversation from her submarine command. What about the Drathan Collective? Will they come back? Our intelligence suggests they are in disarray, Mersine said. Commander Krathus was one of their most successful fleet commanders. His loss, combined with the destruction of such a large force, has shaken their confidence. The collective is consolidating, pulling back to their core territories. They will not threaten anyone for years, perhaps decades. And if they do threaten someone? Dehaen asked. What then? Then Earth will lead the response, Mersine replied. With Council's support, with access to our resources and intelligence networks, but with human command and human tactics. Tae Young looked around the room at his team. Gyu nodded slightly. Biora gave a thumbs up. Hyun looked thoughtful but agreeable. These were the people who had saved Earth. Their opinions mattered more than political considerations. We accept, Tae Young said finally. On the condition that Earth maintains full sovereignty, we will not become a Council protectorate. We join as equals. Agreed, Mersine said immediately. All Council worlds maintain sovereignty. Earth will be no different. I will transmit the formal membership documents within the day. Welcome to the galactic community, General. We look forward to learning from you. The transmission ended. The command center was quiet for a moment. Then someone started clapping. Others joined in. Soon, the entire facility was applauding. Not for the general or the admiral or the captain. For themselves. For Earth, for humanity's first real steps into the larger universe, Jae-hoon published. His final article about the conflict that evening, he had covered the entire war from beginning to end. Now he wrote about what it meant. About how humanity had faced extinction and refused to surrender. About the soldiers who had died defending their world. About the survivors who would carry Earth into a new era. The article was titled The Day Earth Said No. Within hours, it had been read by billions. Within days, it was being translated into dozens of galactic languages. The story of humanity's defiance spread across, known space like wildfire. Min Young returned to her factories to begin new projects. Not weapons this time, but ships. Exploratory vessels, trade ships, diplomatic transports. Earth would need all of them as it began to engage with the wider galaxy. But the weapons factories remained operational just in case. Humanity would never again be caught unprepared. Captain Daehyun received a promotion to admiral and was tasked with creating Earth's first joint human-alien defense fleet. He traveled to Council worlds, met with alien military commanders, and began the slow process of sharing tactical knowledge. Some were skeptical at first. How could a species that still fought among themselves teach anything about defense? Then Daehyun showed them the battle recordings. Showed them how Earth's divided nations had come together when faced with existential threat. Showed them the weapon systems developed through constant competition. Showed them what determination and preparation could accomplish. The skepticism faded quickly. Dr. Biora received funding to develop Earth's first faster-than-light vessel. She combined human innovation with Council technology, creating a hybrid design that exceeded both species' expectations. The prototype launched 6 months after the battle, piloted by a joint human-alien crew. It worked perfectly. Admiral Sujin retired from active military service and became Earth's primary ambassador to the Galactic Council. Her blunt honesty and tactical brilliance translated well to diplomatic negotiations. She earned a reputation for never backing down from a challenge and always speaking truth, even when it made others uncomfortable. "You want humanity to join your alliance?" she said during one early negotiation. "Then treat us like the military power we proved ourselves to be, not as children who got lucky." The other ambassadors learned quickly to take her seriously. Ju became Earth's chief military strategist for galactic affairs. She analyzed potential threats, developed contingency plans, ensured that humanity never stopped preparing for the next crisis. Her paranoia, once seen as excessive, was now valued as prudent planning. General Taejong stepped down from active command and became a teacher. He traveled to military academies across Earth and Council worlds, sharing the lessons learned from the Drathan conflict. His message was always the same: peace is built on the foundation of strength. Diplomacy works best when backed by the capability to defend your words with action. Hyun remained Earth's senior diplomat, coordinating the complex web of relationships between human nations and alien worlds. He found that the skills he had developed managing Earth's political divisions served him well when dealing with galactic politics. Understanding different perspectives, finding common ground, building consensus. These were universal skills, he discovered. Whether negotiating between nations or species, 1 year after the battle, High Counselor Mercian visited Earth personally. She walked through Geneva, towards Seoul, visited the lunar bases where the stealth corvettes had launched. Everywhere she went, she saw a species that refused to be defined by anyone's expectations. When we first contacted you, she said to Hyun during a private dinner, I believed we were offering salvation to a doomed species. Now I understand. You were never doomed. You were waiting, preparing, ready for the moment when the galaxy would finally see what humanity truly is. And what are we? Hyun asked. Survivors, Mercian said simply. Every species in the Council achieved peace before reaching the stars. They learned cooperation through social evolution. But you learned cooperation through necessity. Through facing threats that demanded unity or promised death. That makes you different. That makes you dangerous. But it also makes you invaluable. She raised her glass in a toast. To Earth, to humanity. To the species that taught the galaxy that sometimes the best defense is being too dangerous to attack. Hyun clinked his glass against hers. To the future, whatever it brings. Outside, the stars shone bright above Earth. No longer distant points of light, but destinations. Possibilities. Challenges waiting to be met. Humanity had proven itself among the stars, not through peace or exploration, but through warfare and victory. Now, they would prove themselves in peace, in trade, in cooperation, in shared knowledge. But the weapons remained ready. The defenses stayed active. The contingency plans were updated constantly, because humanity had learned a lesson that the galaxy was only beginning to understand. Hope for peace, prepare for war, and never, ever underestimate a species that has spent its entire existence learning to survive. Jaehoon stood on that same rooftop in Seoul where he had watched the stars before the invasion. The view looked the same, but everything had changed. Earth was no longer isolated, alone, unknown. Earth was known now, respected, feared, and humanity would make sure the galaxy never forgot.